NBC 10 breaking news.
I mean, remarkable devastation. And I found myself, thanking the Lord that no motorists who were on I-95 were injured or died.
That breaking news is happening right now in Northeast Philadelphia. The impact is far-reaching. A massive fire that burned under an off-ramp of Interstate 95 has caused the highway that 160,000 drivers use every day to collapse. Skyforce 10 is live over I-95, where all lanes are closed in both directions between the Aramingo Avenue and Woodhaven Road exit. The fire destroyed part of the highway, cutting off traffic indefinitely. You can see those excavators already out there to try to remove the debris. Thanks for being with us for NBC 10 News at 6. I'm Rosemary. Connors. The roadway is gone. That's how officials are describing the shutdown of I-95 in the Northeast. You can see the northbound lanes, they've collapsed. And Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, whom you heard from just a moment ago, says the southbound side is not structurally sound. It's compromised. This all started after Governor Shapiro says a commercial truck carrying a petroleum substance caught fire underneath I-95 around 6:20 this morning. A large plume of smoke filled the sky, and the flames destroyed this part of the highway near the Cottman Avenue off-ramp. We have team coverage tonight. Brian Sheehan is tackling the impact on commuters. Let's start with the latest information on the collapse from NBC 10's Karen Hua. Karen?
Yeah, Rosemary, this is the closest we're allowed to get to the scene. You can see behind me part of that blackened bridge from the fire. The actual collapse itself is on the other side of the overpass from where we're standing right now. But Governor Shapiro just gave us an update about half an hour ago, and while he provided a lot more details and information, there's still a lot we don't know. Maybe most importantly, how many people were inside that truck that caught fire, and how is the driver doing?
Oh my God, man. Look at this fire.
Oh, shoot. Get past it before they shut us down.
A cloud of confusion for the early birds this morning as they drove down I-95 in Northeast Philly, surrounded by black smoke, and for the neighbors who heard the commotion.
I just woke up this morning. I came outside. I smelled smoke. It smelled like gasoline, actually.
Damn, that highway's gonna drop.
According to officials, around 6:30 a.m., a truck carrying a petroleum product was burning on the I-95 exit ramp, causing the highway above it to collapse on top of the truck.
To expedite this process and to cut through the red tape, tomorrow morning I plan to issue a disaster declaration, allowing the Commonwealth to immediately draw down federal funds and move quickly to repair and reconstruct this roadway.
While officials say no drivers fell from the highway into the collapse, they can't say yet how the truck driver is doing or who else was in the truck. Governor Shapiro says rebuilding the highway will take several months, but they're working on interim solutions to connect both sides.
Today's going to be a long day, and obviously with 95 northbound gone, and southbound questionable, it's going to be even longer than that.
Now with tomorrow morning's commute looming, nearby residents are preparing for chaos.
I do construction for a construction company up in Doylestown, and I'm up and down 95 all day long, all the time.
Chris Cornine predicts his commute will now take an hour longer every day. He also lives right off Torresdale, a street that will become an alternate route since I-95 is shut down. He anticipates his residential road will become a throughway.
We got signs that says 25 miles an hour, and they just do 30, 40 miles an hour down our street.
Even while we interviewed one of his neighbors.
That's going to be a problem too, yeah. Especially with the early commute like that,
A car came flying through his street.
It's just a lot of traffic, and you just have to watch out for children and other people's space and property as you pass them through.
And now when we look up this overpass on the PennDOT website, it's actually listed in good and very good condition. So it's still unclear exactly why a truck on fire would have caused the entire highway to collapse. Those are certainly details that officials are going to be investigating in the upcoming weeks and months to come. But also a lot of people saying that because this happened on a sleepy Sunday rather than a rush hour Monday, let's say, it could have been a lot worse. We're live in Northeast Philly. Karen Hua, NBC 10 News.
As we mentioned, PennDOT tells us 160,000 drivers travel I-95 every day. Getting around this major road closure will be difficult as all lanes are shut down between Woodhaven Road and Aramingo Avenue, those two exits. This is a live look from Skyforce 10, giving a bird's eye view of some of these roads off of I-95 in the Northeast. Traffic on this Sunday evening around 6 o'clock, obviously relatively light, but that will look very different come the work week. NBC 10 photojournalist Jim Friedman, he is on the ground. He's behind the wheel. He's been sharing with us some images from his commute, his drive around this part of Northeast Philly. He is around Tarsdale Avenue and I believe near Cottman as well. As you can see, there are road closures in many of these neighborhoods. Cars obviously stuck there at the light. And again, as people get up for work in the morning, perhaps working construction like the gentleman Karen spoke to who can't work from home, they're going to be backed up, and it's going to take some time. Let's tackle that part of the story now with NBC 10's Brian Sheehan. He joins us live from Tacony. And Brian, traffic congestion, I mean, to put it plainly, it's going to be a nightmare for weeks, if not months to come.
Yeah, Rosemary, and that is certainly being felt here tonight across the city. We are at Cottman and Tarsdale, which has seen unprecedented traffic today. Roughly 160,000 cars are being detoured off I-95. Drivers are frustrated. Many tell us they're dealing with long delays, and this is just the beginning. Governor Josh Shapiro says the effects of the I-95 collapse will be felt for months. The partial collapse of I-95 in Northeast Philadelphia is already testing the patience of drivers across the city.
And they're angry for no reason. And getting into road rage.
Between the honking and the yelling and the flipping off.
The early morning incident forced police to shut down the interstate from Woodhaven to Aramingo and close portions of State Road and Cottman Avenue. Cottman and Tarsdale was chaotic at times this afternoon, as drivers of both cars and 18-wheelers found themselves navigating the congested main roads.
I just came home from the mountains, but once I got back in the Philly area and tried to get on 95 from like Allegheny, Port Richmond, it's just hectic.
With portions of 95 likely closed for some time, commuters like James Hunter are now trying to figure out how they're going to manage the delays to work beginning tomorrow morning.
How much early I'm gonna have to leave? And my girlfriend, how much early is she gonna have to leave? Because the boulevard is going to be crazy.
If you're looking to get around the closures and are traveling into the city from areas like Lower Bucks County or Trenton, you can take one of the Delaware River Port Authority bridges into New Jersey to Route 130 or I-295 towards Cherry Hill and jump on the Ben Franklin. And if you're headed home from the shore to areas north of the collapse, take 73 to the Turnpike or 295 to one of the Delaware River Port Authority bridges. For those coming or going into the Northeast, the Roosevelt Boulevard's probably your best bet. And then there's always SEPTA. Both the Market Frankfurt and Trenton regional rail lines run alongside I-95.
The city needs to hurry up and fix the things that they need to fix because, you know, you got a lot of angry people in the world.
Now, we have put together a full guide on how you can navigate the detours and the closures. All you have to do is scan the QR code that you see on your screen right now. It will take you to the complete list on our website, NBC10.com. We know this is going to be a hectic several months for thousands of people in our area, and we are here to help you get through it. We're live in the Northeast tonight. I'm Brian Sheehan, NBC 10 News. Rosemary.
Brian, appreciate it. SEPTA has a suggestion for some impacted drivers. Take regional rail. The transit agency has launched an immediate emergency plan to help commuters just within the hour. SEPTA General Manager Leslie Richards spoke about the changes that you will see tomorrow. Take a listen.
We're adding capacity on the Trenton, West Trenton, and Fox Chase lines. That means additional cars on scheduled trains. We're going to bus the Kenwood line so that we can repurpose equipment and personnel and get them over to the Trenton line. Thanks to our partners at the Philadelphia Parking Authority, there will be free parking at their 3 park and ride lots.
And then there will be free parking at all SEPTA lots. So if you have to drive to one of these stations, you will have free parking once you get there. The city is urging any and all employers to be flexible, as employees may arrive later than normal, especially tomorrow, because of all of these detours. As longtime Philadelphians know all too well, this is not the first time a portion of the interstate has been shut down for an extended period of time. In March of 1996, a tire fire, which happened in Port Richmond, just a few miles south of this incident, shut down I-95 for months. Video from that fire shows crews battling the flames as 10,000 tires at a junkyard burned under the highway. The fire torched a section of the road, forcing the closures. A similar incident to today's fire occurred on another major highway about 6 years ago in Atlanta. A portion of Interstate 85 collapsed following a fire back in 2017. Luckily, no one was hurt. It led to the Federal Highway Administration warning other states not to store flammable material under bridges. Crews here spent about 6 weeks rebuilding the interstate. Our breaking news coverage of the collapse and closure of a portion of I-95 is just beginning. Coming up next, a Drexel engineering professor will join me live to explain why he likens what happened today to the collapse of the Twin Towers. We'll explain next. Skyforce 10 over that breaking news out of Northeast Philadelphia tonight, where a commercial truck carrying a petroleum substance caught on fire and caused a section of I-95 to collapse. This is right near the Cotman Avenue exit ramp. This happened around 6:20 this morning in the city's Tacony section. The NTSB and Pennsylvania State Police, they are all working together to help investigate. Officials say closures could be in effect for quite some time. Joining me now to give insight into this collapse is engineering professor Amir Farnham from Drexel University. Thanks for being with us, Professor. Let me start with this. I-95 made of steel. Steel can melt. Tell us more about the conditions this morning that caused this collapse.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me. So some of the bridges on I-95, they are made of reinforced concrete or steel. This bridge, I think that based on the photos that I've seen online and also the videos that I watched, I think it's made of steel girders and reinforced concrete. So as the temperature increases in steel structure, its yielding strength decreases. And this is going to be very drastic if the temperature reaches above 400 degrees Celsius. Around like 500 degrees Celsius, the yielding strength could be half of the original strength. And that is like a drastic decrease, and that could cause the structure to collapse. The same incident, if you remember, it happened in 9/11 in the World Trade Center when the aircraft crashed the structure. So the impact kind of teared off all the fire-proofing materials on the steel structure, and the burning of the fuel inside the aircraft started increasing the temperature. And because the World Trade Center was made of steel, the strength decreased drastically, and there was a big loss in the strength, and that was the major reason behind the World Trade Center collapse. I think that the same thing happens here because the truck was beneath the bridge, and it burned for a few hours. And with the petroleum products that it contained, probably the temperature reached to a temperature around 500 degrees Celsius, and the structure suddenly lost its structural capacity, and that was the major reason behind the collapse.
Sure. The structural integrity as well.
Yeah.
And, let's talk about a couple more things before we let you go. In your opinion, we heard from Governor Shapiro. He said earlier today that this could, quote, take some number of months. He didn't put an exact timeline on it. Don't expect him to. But in your opinion, what do you think in terms of rebuilding this portion of I-95?
Yeah. So in terms of bridges, it takes normally a few years to build a bridge. But based on the resources or other things, maybe they could expedite the process. So I'm hoping that they could build it in a few months. But for short term, they could come up with some detours or some expansions on some roads to help the traffic to move on. But it's going to take some time, I think, to rebuild this bridge.
Or perhaps the southbound side, which has not collapsed but is compromised, maybe they start there and work on that portion. One last question. This is a little forward-thinking, Professor Farnham, but do you think this collapse will have any impact on future bridge design for the steel to be fire-resistant or fireproof?
Yeah, that's a very nice question. I think one of the things that I want to mention that in outdoor transportation structures or highway structures, normally we don't design them for fire resistance. So maybe this incident will help us to think for the future, like codes that maybe we want to include some sort of like a fire resistance design. Because for buildings, we do have a code, fire code, that we build structures like the buildings against fire. But for bridges, we normally don't do that. So this is something that for future for engineers to keep in mind and maybe like improve our design codes.
Certainly make officials think twice next time as this does come up. All right, Professor Amir Farnham from Drexel Engineering, we appreciate you taking the time, appreciate your expertise and insight. We probably will be calling you as we continue to watch this develop.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.